You're listening to On Fire Concerts Artist Interview Series with your host, Ron Johnson.
Hey folks, it's Ron with On Fire Concerts, and I am sitting here today for our September Artist of the Month interview. I am sitting here today with a gentleman that I've just met today, but I've followed and listened to, and one of my favorite songs is a Dallas Moore song.
All right.
And folks, it's the hardest working man in HonkTonks.
I got to roll the wheels to pay the bills.
That is true.
Keep the roads hot.
Well, you know, I follow, people think I do the older traditional artists that I've worked with because I promote a lot, as you know.
Yeah.
And I love the older artists. And I was on Twitter, you'll never know what's going to pop up.
Yeah.
But I grew up, I was born and raised in Memphis.
Yeah.
So I grew up on all kinds of music.
Right.
But I was watching, I seen something pop up, it's been a couple of years back or something, and we know a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
Or I've worked, you know them a lot better than I do, but I've worked with a few people like Billy Don Burns,
Yeah.
Tom Gantt,
Yeah.
and Billy Gantt that we're going to talk about.
Right.
But I'd seen something of yours pop up, and I said, well, what in the world? And it was Blue Jean Jesus.
Yeah.
Man, that is an amazing song.
That's a true story. But I wrote that song probably right around when that was actually happening. Probably would have been around 1991 or 92. And but it was based on the song was based on a real guy who has since passed away. But the only thing I changed in the song was nobody in the town ever called him Blue Jean Jesus. I called him that because that's what he looked like to me. But everybody in town always called him Weird Harold.
But man, that song is just, it's something that I think could touch a lot of people. I mean,
yeah.
And it's
it really was a true story. With the exception of the title and his name, that's the only thing I changed.
And the video was amazing.
So when we did the video, Dean Miller had produced that record, The Rain, for me, as well as the Trying to Be a Blessing and Mr. Honky Tonk album. We did all three of those albums with Dean Miller producing here in Nashville. And Blue Jean Jesus was the only older song that I had brought out for The Rain, because I just felt like it fit on with the rest of those tunes. And we decided we wanted to do a video for it. And I was thinking, man, I know Dean, because Dean, in addition to producing the album, he also produced the video. And he's in touch with all the actors and you know, extras and everything like that. But I said, man, I've got the guy. I said, if God, please listen to me on this, if you can. I said, I have the only person that could bring Weird Harold back to life and portray him on video as Blue Jean Jesus, and that's my old pal Jack Shit, and that's really his name, spelled S-C-H-I-T. I know Jack Shit. Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew I know Jack Shit?
And that's amazing. And it's like you know, but when I watched that, there was people that I know that unfortunately for some reason they don't really listen to music, but they're in the gospel world. Right. And I said, I gotta send this. I'll just send it to everybody. And you would be surprised the comments that came back on that song, because it's hard. It's an uplifting song, and it's just a great song.
Right, man. Speaking of that video, last night we played our show at Third and Lindsley here in Nashville, and two of the extras that were in the video, Lonnie and Marianne Spiker. I don't know.
I know them.
I thought you might. Well, they were extras in the video. If you watch closely in the video, they're sitting on a park bench, and old Jack, or Blue Jean Jesus, comes up and he's all crazy, and he runs them off. Well, they were in the front row of our show at Third and Lindsley last night, celebrating their 41st wedding anniversary.
They come to a lot of our shows.
Yeah.
And I think they're, if I remember right, a lot of them, we do a lot with Ronnie McDowell, did it.
Yeah.
They come to Ronnie's shows regularly.
Oh, yeah.
But I know the names well.
It's been great. It's been great. We met them for the first time though on the set of the Blue Jean Jesus video, and it was great to celebrate their 41st wedding anniversary here in Nashville last night. And I seen them. I played my first show at the Bluebird here back on August 7th, and they were right there for that too. So
you just
made some great friends.
You and your wife just had an anniversary.
Yeah, me and my wife Jenna Danielle Moore have been married 13 years.
13 years, and I seen that a while back. I thought,
Yeah.
and that's
she ain't killed me yet. She's had ample opportunity. Yeah, me and Jenna have been married for 13 years, and our daughter Victoria Moore just turned 6 on June 14th, and Jenna just had her birthday, and she had her 38th birthday, and I just celebrated my 53rd birthday.
and I've got 63rd coming up.
Hey, well, all right. Well, I hope we all keep having a whole lot more birthdays.
I think we do too. So you've got a new. Well, first of all, your early years, you've been. If you don't know, folks, I mean, been doing this for 25 years or more.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I just celebrated my 53rd trip around the sun, and I got my first guitar when I was 16. So
yeah, that's where you and Billy Gantt, that we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
you met Billy at Doty's
Lounge in Norwood, Ohio, which is where I grew up.
That was just an interesting story there, folks.
Yeah.
But so. And you worked with a lot of your heroes growing up. You worked with a lot. And over time, we're talking about outlaw Billy Gantt. And if you don't know who Billy Gantt is, look him up. Yeah. Because he's as real as they come.
He is. And unfortunately, there's not a lot on the internet. There's some things that you can find. But Billy's story is just... one that I've felt for forever. His life story should be made into a movie, let alone his song. So if we could go back in time a little bit, I had just turned 17 years old, and I'd always heard the name Billy Gantt and the Vigilantes. That was his band on our local radio station there in Norwood, Ohio, which is the Cincinnati, Ohio area. And I always heard his name, and I heard his records being played. He had some singles out that were like regional hits back. This would have been around 1987, I'd say. And so it was one time, it was on a school night, and back then there were so many factories there in Norwood, and so there was a beer joint, a honky tonk on every corner, it seemed like. And just about all of them had country or bluegrass or blues or jazz or rock and roll. There was live music every night of the week, it seemed like. And so being underage, we snuck in, me and the guys from my first band, we snuck into Doty's, and I just remember it being packed wall to wall on like a Tuesday night, something like that. And I see this wild man dressed all in black leather, and back then everybody that was a house band at whatever honky tonk they were playing, they always had a bunkhouse rail going across the front of the stage. And I see this wild guy dressed all in black leather head to toe, and he takes this big Johnny Paycheck-esque hat off and lays it on the bunkhouse rail and proceeds to do a headstand upside down, throw back a shot of whiskey upside down while he's standing on his head, and he does a James Brown type backflip off of the bunkhouse rail. And he has a 100-foot long microphone cable, and he gets the two prettiest girls in the place on each arm and goes sashaying through that crowd, and just had the whole place going nuts, eating out of the palm of his hand. And my mind was blown, and I was like, I want to be that guy when I grow up.
That's who I want to be.
Yeah, and Billy, we was underage, and they was going to kick us out, and Billy said, "Oh no, these kids are with me," and so we would. And not only did he not get us kicked out, but we were just learning to play our instrument. And I was just writing my first songs, and it really had no business being on his stage. And he put us up on his stage and put us over to his crowd, and that began what has become a lifelong friendship. He's been a hero and a champion and a friend and a mentor to me.
Well, it's like I was telling someone earlier today when we were talking about this interview.
Yeah.
I said, I've been around Nashville a long time.
Yeah.
And been blessed to work with everybody I wanted to. On down the line. In the early years in Nashville, when you had like Waylon and Chris Gantry.
Yeah.
And Donnie Fritz and all these people.
Yeah.
Those are the people that started the outlaw movement. And I'm not knocking no young guy today out there that wakes up and you wake up and say, when did he become an outlaw?
Right.
But it's an entirely different era. I mean, Billy Gantt.
Yeah.
Lord, I mean, when he sings about bar fights, he lived bar fights.
Right.
I mean, everybody. I mean, those days, and he just, you're it's just everything he sings, you can tell
Yeah.
it's experience.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so if you take it from there, from that night we met, we went on to, like I say, to become such great friends. And Billy was just at the height of his career at the time. He was touring with David Allan Coe, and Hank Williams Jr., a lot with Johnny Paycheck, and doing whenever any of those guys would come through the Midwest, through Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky or Indiana, Billy would get on the show, and a lot of times he would upstage a lot of, because he became began to get this reputation as such a charismatic performer, almost like James Brown doing outlaw country.
Right.
He was a wild man. It's the only way you could. He was such an entertainer and a showman. And right at the height of his career, he was involved in a very serious automobile accident, and he suffered a traumatic brain injury. And he was away while he was healing, he was in a coma for a long time, and it was for 13 years that he was taken away from the music and everything. And something happened to him during that time, and when he came back, he realized that he couldn't physically do all the wild stage antics that he had before, and he became this most prolific songwriter. And Billy and I co-wrote a song together called Outlaw Country, and several years ago. But even before we wrote that song, Billy had all these tunes that he was locking himself away for days and weeks at a time, and creating all these characters, and his songs are so cinematic. It's like each one of them could be a movie, like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
The Ballad of Reuben Dixon.
Yes, I know, man. It's a whole movie in itself, And I was telling Billy around the early 2000s that someday I want to make a whole record of all of your songs, and finally, with No God Morez, we finally, the stars on our schedules finally aligned, and we were able to do that with No God Morez.
And there's one song that Billy's that's on that album, and I've looked at a lot of stuff, but I think, Billy's got, you say which song is your favorite, it's hard to pick, but the one that I'm glad that you put on the album is My Halo's Too Tight.
Yeah.
And there's a video on YouTube of Billy doing that at Bobby Mackey's.
Yeah.
And he just kills it.
Oh yeah, he always does. It's such a great tune, as they all are. Actually, Halo Too Tight was the lead single off the No God Morez album.
And so tell us about the songs on that album and what they mean.
It's just we cut 10 songs, and we started the whole process when it went from the conversation went from, hey, one of these days we're going to do this album, to, hey, Billy, let's get together, we're doing it now. And so we met, myself and Billy and my lead guitar player, Saint Nick Giese, who had worked with Billy for quite a bit, and he was also had toured with David Allan Coe before he ended up joining my band. We were friends for a long time, before that. But and Nick had actually worked with Billy on the original demos on most all the songs that ended up on this album. So Nick and Billy and I gathered around Billy's kitchen table, and he pitched us 33 songs, and we whittled those 33 down to the 10 that's on this album. And it wasn't that these were the 10 best songs, it was that because they were all, it was such a hard time picking, because every song he's got that he's going to present to you is of that level, it's that good. But the reason we chose these 10 was these 10 fit together. It's not a concept album, but it almost feels like it is, because these songs just, they work, they interchange so well together.
That's like picking the songs, like you're talking about the interchange. That's sort of like as a promoter.
Yeah.
When I have a headlining act, my opening act, I gotta say they gotta blend.
Oh yeah.
With this act,
Yeah.
They gotta be sort of similar.
Right.
And but I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
And like you said, Billy's songs and the 10 on this album, there's characters in every single one of them, and just like you said, movies by themselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the title track, "No God More Is." I mean, that whole thing should be made into a movie script. You know, maybe for Quentin Tarantino or some, you know, one of them guys like that. The guy, I can't think of his name right now. The Dust from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but Billy, all of his songs, he brings those characters like the murderous bastard in Hezekiah's heart.
Yeah.
You know, I always when we do that song, it's like here's a love song with a little killing in it for you.
That's a love song. But the thing is it's the Billy Gantt of anybody out there needed this done. Somebody doing the whole album of his songs.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have been nobody but Dallas Moore to do it.
Yeah, it's been you know, an honor and humbling, and Billy has been involved with us in the whole step of the way from us sitting at his kitchen table all the way to he doesn't make very many live performances these days, but he came and performed with us at the album release party at the Southgate House Revival in Newport, Kentucky, and he also did an appearance with us at the Backroom Lounge with Jeb Brown in Riverton, Illinois.
Jeb was the last time I seen Billy, and like I said, we worked together a couple of times, and we crossed paths. I think he won't remember me. He don't forget.
Oh, no.
And
No.
it was over at the Palace, and I want to say it was just a couple, 3 years ago, it was either for either Billy Don Burns CD release or Wade Jennings, because they both were there, and I don't remember
Right.
which CD release it was.
Yeah.
But I remember Billy Gantt came up and knew my name. You
Right,
know?
right,
And I
right.
thought, that's cool, you know.
Yeah.
But Billy's just a cool person. He makes
He
you feel
is.
just as welcomed as,
And it's so great to see Billy get to see his songs brought to life and put out into the world, you know.
And the publicity that is garnered.
Yeah, yeah,
You're in a lot of magazines. I've seen numerous
Yeah.
magazine articles.
yeah,
And like you said, Tom Netherland
yeah,
just did a good
Yeah.
article.
yeah.
And,
That just came out in the Times News there for we're getting ready to play Bristol Rhythm and Roots next Saturday, September the 9th. And Tom's a great friend. We met him last year. Was the first year we played Bristol, but he had a great write up about he had us and 49 Winchester and Carlene Carter and Jim Lauderdale and Marty Stewart all in the same article. But he had a big chunk of the article where he interviewed me and he talks quite a bit not only about us playing Bristol and returning, but about the making of the album No God More Is and Billy and everything. It's so great to see Billy be able to experience and enjoy this happening right now.
from his peers and
Yeah.
from the public.
Yes.
And people that didn't even know Billy Gantt
Right.
now are learning Billy Gantt.
And like on that manner we was talking about looking him up, it's kind of few and far between and fairly scarce how much stuff is out there on the internet. But with knowing that before this album came out, we made a little I think it's about 30-minute sit down interview, kind of like what we're doing
Right.
here today. And it's on my YouTube channel,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's me and Billy. Just they put the camera on just like this, and me and Billy just have about a 30-minute conversation. There was no edits or cuts. It's just us talking, and we just kind of give everybody the whole history of from how we met to what happened with his accident to his tragedies and his triumphs,
Right.
and all of that culminating into after 20 years, this album finally got made
Well,
and released.
As a fan of Billy Gantt and yours,
Yeah.
I can't tell you what it means to me that you did this.
Yeah.
And I know Billy appreciates it.
Yeah, well, we're not to let the cat out of the bag, but I guess it's okay to go ahead and say too. But we're already working on another round two. He's still got so many songs. Like I say, when he first pitched us 33 songs, and we used 10. Well, there's still.
You get home and you think I could have done that song.
Well,
yeah.
I went and we met with it around his kitchen table again a few weeks ago, and he's written 50 more songs, and each one is better than the last one, and so that's in the works. We're going to do another album of Billy's material, and heck, as long as he keeps writing them, and he's got something to say, and as long, 'cause I love to sing his songs, and and of course we'll still be releasing albums of my tunes and everything else. We got so many things in the works right now, but and we just got such a great response to No God More Is, and I was like, you know, Billy's still got a lot to say. So while he's here with us, let's do it.
Yeah,
and while he can be part of it and enjoy it. Billy, I just turned 53 and Billy just turned 76, and we both have had this conversation. We feel like we're just getting started.
Yeah, and now is the time for Billy Gantt.
Yeah.
And this to be, like I said, it's just the how special it is.
Yeah.
I know to him, but how special it is that young people now are hearing this music.
Yeah.
And like I said, you do a great job on anything you do. So, but on Billy's, this album is great.
Well, thank you. Like I say, I grew up with Billy being such a great influence, you know, on me as entertainer, you know, first and foremost, just because, like I say, he was just, you know, when I originally met him, he was just the greatest showman that I had ever seen. And still to this day, I've never seen anybody, you know,
charismatic and she does what
it
does.
I mean, it's hard to describe unless you actually witnessed it, to put it into words, how just wild and amazing it was, you know. But then also just as a mentor coming up in the HonkTonks and like you talked about, you know, Billy living, you know, his lyrics. I've always been that way myself, and when Billy Gantt's your hero, a lot of time I spent a lot of my life doing a lot of things and making some of the mistakes that Billy made, and I followed right down the same path and had to learn the hard way, and that's one reason I'm able to sing those songs, because I did the same damn thing.
You did the same thing, and it's like I was saying earlier about, and not like I said, I'm not knocking anybody, but to live the what we call the outlaw music or the outlaw life, and you know, in the HonkTonks and everything, you obviously at 17 when you're in there on a school night.
Yeah, that was my school.
And you thought that was school.
That college education comes in real handy.
And
old B.
but
Spears
man,
line.
you just and it's what you sing is so real, and everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And everybody and true music lovers, I mean, when they see an artist on stage, they know if the artist is real or not, and if what they're putting into it is real.
Right.
And you can't question anything that you've done or Billy Gantt's written.
Yeah.
And,
no, it's art. It's real. It's art. It ain't everybody's life, but it's our life.
And now,
You know?
and it's
For better or worse.
I think you ought to. Billy needs a movie made about Billy Gantt.
I tell you what, if I was a movie maker, I would do it. I've been saying that for years, and especially now that we are able to bring attention to Billy's story.
Right.
It'd be great if someone would pick it up, because it literally, I mean, his life is a movie script. I mean, you couldn't make that stuff up.
No, you
stuff
couldn't.
that really happened to him.
And so, tell us of what you've got coming up.
Well, tomorrow, let's see. Tomorrow morning, we're doing we'll be here in Nashville, and we'll be back to 3rd and Lindsley, where we played last night. And we're doing the WMOT Finally Friday live at lunch radio broadcast at 1:30, and that's tomorrow, September 1st, Friday, September 1st, and we go on at 1:30. I think the whole broadcast starts at noon,
Right.
and we'll have the Dallas Moore Band on. I think our host is Shyla Morrow tomorrow, and we'll be on live on WMOT here in Nashville, and it's open to the public. You can come be part of the live audience, and then we've got to turn around and head west, and we're playing in St. Louis, Missouri, at the HonkTonk at Music Quarter at the Garage in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's our first time there on Friday night. And then Saturday night, September 2nd, we are headlining the Redneck Revival, which is a big festival out in Conesville, Iowa. And then we turn around next week and we head to the Carolinas. We'll be heading to Greenville, South Carolina, and Dunn, North Carolina. And then the big granddaddy of them all, we're returning to Bristol Rhythm and Roots, and we're playing very excited to play at 3 o'clock on Saturday, September 9th on the State Street stage, with the state line of Virginia and Tennessee running right up the middle.
Rhythm and Roots is just an amazing festival.
It is.
It is amazing.
I just read somewhere where it's always, I think this is the 10th year in a row that's been ranked in the top 5 music festivals in America. And last year was our first year getting to play it. And last year we played in front of Asleep at the Wheel, and we played on the Piedmont stage, which was right on the stage right where Hank had taken his last ride, and that's what commemorated that stage.
When I was up there, we were talking about Dallas Wayne earlier.
Yeah.
And when I was up there, Dallas was going to be doing something. He said, "Go eat over at the Burger Bar," which is where Hank got his last meal.
Yeah.
And he said, "But I don't think Hank ate it." And so we had to go over there, and they have burgers like "You're Cheating Hard" and all this. And
I think I had one last year.
I said, "So if I eat this burger and I don't make it home, folks, it came from here."
I think I got extra jalapenos, and mine was "You're Cheating Hard" burn.
That's just crazy. But there's history in Bristol.
Yeah, there is. It's the birthplace of country music.
Right. You stand on the street, and one leg in Bristol, Virginia, and one in Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, there's so much where the first recordings of Jimmy Rogers and the Carter family and everything, all right there. And so my mama, Maggie Lee, she played mountain dulcimer, and she was on the Midwestern Hayride. But I grew up with her. She had all this collection of 78s, and it was all the old Hank Williams, Lefty Frizzell, but she had all of the old Carter family stuff. So I grew up listening to all that and playing that music with my mama, Maggie Lee.
Well, that's just amazing. We did a little show there at that theater in the birthplace of country music there, and but the stories, the history there is amazing. So, folks, if you're in Bristol or anywhere near, that's a great festival to go to.
Yeah, it's next week, September 8th, 9th, 10th, yeah. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be playing on the State Street stage at 3 o'clock on Saturday, but they've got 49 Winchester, which is the hometown guys, and those are our friends, and those guys are just blowing up, and their music is so great, and they have such a killer show. Marty Stewart, the Mavericks.
Lineup.
Yeah, I mean I think there's 100 artists performing.
I couldn't believe all the people we had there that was there last year.
Yeah.
And you think, like in this area there's Bonnaroo, but then you got thousands and thousands, and there's so many stages and stuff.
Yeah, and it's so much, it's a little bit of everything. You can walk around and you can take so much music in over the course, or even just one day from the multiple stages and stuff. So, but we're going to honky-tonk it and get amongst it. I can't wait to come back. And it really is. It's called Bristol Rhythm and Roots Reunion. It truly is. Once you're in that family, it really is like a family reunion. I know last year was our first time playing it, and there were folks that had come from like 27 states and 4 or 5 different countries.
They come from everywhere.
Because just to see us, because they had always wanted to go to Bristol, and they were fans of ours, and so they made that happen. And the other side of that coin was there were people literally from all over the world that had never heard of us, that we made new friends with. So it's just a great experience, and if you get a chance, come on down.
Come on down. So Dallas, we appreciate you so much for being here today with us. And folks, DallasMoore.com.
DallasMoore.com.
Check them out. If you haven't looked them up, do so.
Yeah.
And go get the album No God and War Is by Dallas Moore.
All right.
And until next time, we'll see you then.
Adios, amigos.